Alright, so it's time for the best combat builds in Tides of Terraria. We're going to start by discussing Lunker. So this is the new combat passive that was added in Tides of Terraria, and it does shake up the raid meta a little bit. So Lunker adds 20% water damage, 20% ice damage, and gives 20% bonus defense. What this means is that suddenly water and ice pals are extremely strong in raids as long as they have a strong exclusive attack. So if you're looking at the skill build here with Holy Burst, Dialysonic Laser, and Curtain Splash, it's only a 2% DPS loss running Lunker compared to not running Lunker and running Musclehead instead, but you do gain 13% damage reduction. So running these, maybe not Finside or Ignis, maybe it's just for fun, but if you're running this like Neptilius or Bastigor, they become very tanky for a very, very slight DPS loss. So currently the best raid pals are probably these ice or water pals with strong exclusive attacks running Lunker. So this is a Fabric Bastigor. If I was rebreeding this today, I would have replaced Musclehead with Lunker. Then we have just normal standard raid pals if you're doing something else, maybe a little bit suboptimal, something for fun like a Chikipi army, a Herbil army, something like that. Then you're still using this old school build with Serenity Legend, Musclehead Demon God, and I recommend breeding Meteor Rain onto all these raid pals just to help you deal with all those Xenoguards and Xenovaders when you're fighting Xenolord. So then we have to discuss Musclehead versus Serenity. So we got two Finsider Ignises here. I did a quick test just to show versus a tower boss. And you will see that one of them does the loop in 25 seconds, while one of them does the loop in 20 seconds. So this is a 25% DPS gain. And what you're really sacrificing here is probably like if you're running Ferocious versus Serenity or something like that, or Musclehead versus Serenity, depending on if you're running a Lunker pal. So this 25% bonus DPS out of Serenity is worth it just because of diminishing returns from stacking attack. But when do you not want to run Serenity? Either if the pal dies before a loop is over, if you're doing the swapping thing where you're swapping 5 pals, then you don't care about cooldowns either, or if you're running skills that already have such short cooldowns that Serenity doesn't matter. They're just using like Airblade, Lightning Streak, Holy Burst, Airblade, Lightning Streak, Holy Burst, or maybe one filler that would have been there anyway. So this is something that you're going to have to test for your pal. Like you can do it already at level 1, just give it the 3 skill fruits, go test versus some low level pal, see if it uses a filler skill, then you go and use the pal surgery table, and you can switch between Musclehead and Serenity, see if it affects this loop, if it brings it from 25 seconds to 20 seconds, or if it does not matter at all. And this surgery table just allows you to switch at will here. It also allows you to run different skill builds, like you can run Trigger Happy, Hydro Slicer, Curtain Splash, and then against another boss you might want to switch to Lightning Streak and Airblade, and then you can just Pal Surgery Musclehead instead of Serenity. So it's a very versatile patch we're living in right now, very nice. Then we have to discuss these kind of party pals where you mount up and you gain an elemental bonus. So what happens when you gain that elemental bonus is that you gain a lot of diminishing returns on passives. So something like this Shadowbeak would do a lot of damage fighting alongside you, while if you do want to mount up, you want to run something like this instead, maybe add Serenity as well. So how Serenity really works is that you have different cooldowns depending on if your pal is mounted, if it's fighting alongside you, or if it's in the base. So base pals get like a 20% CT increase. If they're fighting alongside you, they have a 60% CT decrease. And if you're mounted up, they have the exact CT that is mentioned on the tooltip, so 30 seconds for Holy Burst. So you probably want Serenity on, you do want Serenity on all your base pals. Well, it's a little bit up for grabs on these ones. If you're doing mounted combat with one pal, you want Serenity. If you're doing the swapping thing or one-shotting pals, then you don't want Serenity. So let's move on to a couple of other tower fighting pals. So this is more against tower bosses. You have a choice here. Legend, Demon God, Serenity, Musclehead. And now we're skipping Lunker because against tower bosses, you're probably running a mix of skills just because of the nature of tower bosses. Against Björn, you want Flame Funnel most of the time. Against Sayab, it's Blast Cannon and Beam Slicer. Victor, Holy Burst, Blast Cannon, Beam Slicer. Dialysonic Laser is now up there as well, but probably not worth running Lunker because of that 13% damage reduction. That doesn't really matter for party pals. You can withdraw dodge. If you're doing enough damage as the player, your pal won't get hit at all. And then we also have the option of running Vampiric if you do want a bit of survivability. So if you think about like a 13% damage reduction, that's maybe adding like 3000 health to your pal, depending on what pal it is. If you're adding Vampiric, that's 5% of a boss with like 700,000 health or something. It adds up to like 10 to 15,000 extra health, depending on how much damage your pal is doing compared to you. So it's a little bit like if your pal is taking aggro from you, or if you're still leveling, you don't have legendary gear, whatever, Vampiric is very nice. And then you sort of scale past Vampiric once you notice that your pal is no longer holding aggro from you. So you got these sort of more versatile builds. Something like this one, Necromus here, Twin Spears, Rockburst, Flame Funnel are all super strong skills against Bjorn. So then you're not going to be wanting to run like Lord of the Underworld or Earth Emperor or anything like that. Then we move on to this Gobfin and Friends kind of thing, where Gobfin is still king for pretty much all content. You're gonna run Gobfin, especially now. Like, Tides of Terraria had a chance to make PAL damage king, but then we got the Terra Prisma together with Overheat Rifle, so Gobfin is still king. And then you have a choice. You can run a fast mount to avoid like Satellite Bit, Astral Ray, Cosmic Meteor, like you'll be able to dodge all these skills on a fast mount. While something like this will let you like one-shot the ads. Frostallion is exactly like these two. It gets 100% more ice bonus when you're mounted up. So you could potentially like double Blizzard Spike and Blizzard Spike, and now even Absolute Frost, like the Xeno Guards and Xenovaders and stuff like that. But it won't allow you to outrun like Fireball and stuff from Xenolord. So it's a bit of a trade-off. I prefer this one if I'm going for solo kills or not having a lot of base pals. If you have the 15 base pals taking aggro, then you can pretty safely run this one with a healing potion. It's not that bad. Then a lot of people like to ask me about my Felbat, so I just figured I would show it. It's the Oil Rig Felbat, Vanguard, Demon God, Serenity, Legend. I don't really care that much about what passives are on this one, because I'm the one doing the most damage. It's mostly there for the, just to like keep me alive. So you could do like Diamond Body, Vampiric, whatever you want. This is just a build that I prefer running. Serenity as well is very nice with a Meteor Rain. And it's the exact same build on the Lavander. They're the same pal, it's just a little bit different stats. For something fighting alongside you, I like to have Vampiric just because the pal might take 1 or 2 shots in the beginning of the fight. Then it's not doing a whole lot of damage in the rest of the fight. It's mostly about you doing damage. So it doesn't really matter if you throw Vampiric on it or not. Vampiric is just, you don't want it to die. Like from this random, like getting in the way of a Hydra Laser against Bjorn or something like that. Booster pals, all the same build. It's really just about Vanguard and Stronghold Strategist. You could do Noble and Fine Furs. You could do Mining 4-man and stuff like that. I'd just like to have Motivational Leader just to rebuild the Raid Altar as fast as possible. Or if I'm just building a random chest or something in my base, it's just nice to have on these booster pals. So that's it really for this kind of best builds. It's gonna be a little bit up to you, like the different pals you're running. We also have a lot of new stuff now. We have the whistles as well. So one thing worth mentioning with these whistles is that I think you should use the whistle that you're not using the passives for. So that Shadowbeak with Invader and Siren of the Void, then you want to run the attack whistles. And if you're running just pure attack passives, then you want to run the elemental whistles. But they do suffer heavily from diminishing return. So like if you stack the fire and the fire one, these two together, you should be looking at a 30% increase, but it's closer to like 6 when you're mounted up on a 100% bonus pal like Blasamut. And if you're stacking the neutral whistles, it's also closer to 6% than it is 30% on that Celine. Same thing with Dark Whistle on Shadowbeak. So just do the opposite of what your build is doing, so you don't run into all those diminishing returns. If you're stacking defense for an attack, if you're stacking attack, defense can be pretty nice. So just do the opposite of your skill build. So that's it for this best builds. Thanks for watching.